What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Frozen Road Podcast. I am your host, John Hunter, and I have my man, Danny Hart, with me today. Danny, what is up, my man?
What's up, brother? How you been?
I'm good, man. Dan, it's been a while, man. Since we were playing at North Catholic, you know what I mean? Doing our thing there. There it is, the NC. But yeah, man, so I brought you on today because we're going to talk about baseball. We're going to talk about everything under the sun. And I know you're that type of guy, just like how I am. We don't like to just stick to just Philadelphia shit. We like to pretty much talk about everything. Talk about any type of baseball that's considered that's going on. And there has been a lot of stuff that's been going on. It's like since the last time that I was able to actually do one that had nothing to do with just like a single team or something like that. So it's going to be a good episode. We're going to talk about Arenado. Finally, I'm going to get to that. We're going to talk about Trevor Bauer. We're going to talk about the massive deal from Fernando Tatis that he just re-upped on. And we're going to talk about the fucking absolute travesty that is going on with the Mariners organization and all that stuff with Kevin Mather and Jarred Kelenic and all that shit. You ready for that?
Yes, sir. Let's get to it.
Let's go. So we'll start off with Arenado. What do you think that does for the shape of the National League Central right now?
I mean, putting Arenado into that lineup and putting him right next to Goldschmidt in the lineup, you don't want to face that 3-4 ever. I
agree, man. I mean, he's a huge help to a lineup that definitely I feel like it's been a little bit since they've had this crazy pop in a lineup. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say that he's, how Pujols was, days like that, because he's not Pujols, but Arenado definitely brings some extra pop to that lineup that I feel like has been kind of missing for a little bit there. Of course, they're always competitive, and they've been competitive for forever, but you add a guy like that who is definitely going to be a huge step for them. He's a help. He's probably the best defensive third baseman they've had since Scott Rowland.
Oh yeah, it has to be.
So it's been a long time since they've had a shorthanded third baseman like that. I think that in itself is huge. Then you add his offensive prowess. We're not really still sure where he's at with that because he still has the Coors years.
Yeah,
and that's
something a little concerning. But I mean, he has all the pedigree, so
100%. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be nice to see him on a team. I think this is something that he needs. I think we need to see him outside of Coors on an 81 game basis for us to really get to gauge him. Because it's definitely something that I want to see. And I'm an Arenado fan. I know there's a lot of people who will always put Coors and say that's the reason why he's as good. But we don't really know. We have no idea really how. I mean, we see the home away splits, and they're not great. They weren't great for him when he was with, anything he was away from Coors. But I mean, when you're hitting at Coors, their splits are always going to be probably higher.
Yeah, I was going to say visiting players. I mean, they're the same thing. So I mean, and everyone your home splits are usually better off just because you're comfortable at the stadium. You're home. I mean, you're getting your routine. You're doing everything the same every day. So absolutely. I mean, I think that factors into it too.
Yeah, and then you got the altitude, you know what I mean, all that stuff that goes into it. They're used to it. He's used to that. He's not used to being able to breathe regularly like everybody else is. You know what I mean? When he goes up there, it's fuck,
too much oxygen.
Yeah, I remember there was a player for I think the Broncos who wasn't. This was years ago. He wasn't able to play
defensive back, I believe.
Yeah, and he wasn't. He was having a hard time playing because he had a heart condition and he didn't realize it until he started playing there. And that's a big deal. That's huge.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
So we have that. We had Arenado. Trevor Bauer decided to shock us all.
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't see that.
I think that's a great deal for him. I mean, he pretty much gets 3 one-year deals at $40 million. Not 40, but close to it. 30 million and then 240.
And the fact that he, like you said, it's pretty much 1 year deals because it's his option. He has options for every year. He can go, all right, well, I'm going to split. But I think we all were kind of hoping. I don't know about you, but I know I was kind of hoping he was going to go to the Angels.
Yeah, me too. I want to see the Angels be an actual contender. It'll be nice. Get him a season for once.
Yeah, exactly. Give Trail I think they need to give Trout that reassurance that they want to win with him.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've been giving him that for a while. I mean, obviously, I don't think they haven't been giving him that for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, continuously adding offensive players is one thing, but like you're adding, like Rendon's a great player, and that was great that they added him.
Yeah, he's a stud.
But and he is. He's a stud. But like, you need more. You didn't need to give.
Since Trout's been in the league has been god awful.
Yeah. So fix that. Fix your pitching first. And I think that he would have went there. If they would have given him, maybe a 3-year deal, kind of the same thing that is did. Yeah. I mean, Artie Moreno is not afraid to give money out. The dude gave C.J. Wilson far too much money back in the day, and like so he's not shy. Like that's not something he's shy about. And
he went and got Rendon. He definitely is willing to do it. But
absolutely. Yeah, and I know it's a little bit risky. I mean, $40 million a year for a pitcher is a lot, but like, you're, I guess it kind of is a risk too, though. When you give a player like him, I guess because he is kind of like, well, I could leave now. Yeah. Like, so it is. I mean, you're trying to commit to something, but he's committing, but he's not committing.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, though, if you give like Bauer got the player option. He's only going to exercise the player option if he has a great season. So, I mean, if he goes and wins another Cy Young and then goes and signs a 10-year deal somewhere else, you kind of got a bargain. You paid $30 million for an absolute stud pitcher for one season.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about him falling off.
And if you really think about it, if he wins a Cy Young, they most likely probably won the World Series too.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's what I'm saying. So,
yeah.
Even if he does use the option, it's like, all right, well, that was worth it. He came here, balled out, won a Cy Young, helped us get to the playoffs. Bye, I guess.
Yeah,
or, why not? Then you give him the 10-year, $300 million deal, or not 10 years, but 5 for $150.
So I was listening to another podcast earlier. It was the starting 9 with Jared Carrabis and Dallas Braden, and they were talking. And the one thing they kept saying was, and I kind of agree. I agree with Jared when he says this. If you win one time in a long-term deal, the whole deal pretty much just got paid off.
Yeah, it's worth it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like when you're like you just kind of just said like, all right, well, he wins at the championship, he wins a Cy Young. It is what it is. He just paid himself off. That $40 million, they'll get that somehow because whether it's 15 years down the line when people are still buying Bauer jerseys that are in a Dodgers uniform, they're still getting that money back somehow. Like that's going to cash out. That's not something that we need to really like worry about ever. You know what I mean? Like, so that's where I'm at with that. Like where I love the deal. I thought it was great for him. I think it's good for the Dodgers. It's good for baseball, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, it gives a different spin on things too. It gives like more players are definitely going to bet on themselves a little more than that. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, players sign the 1-year deals now, but like the 3-year player option every year, like that's kind of new thing. I like it.
Yeah. And I like that. I like that I feel like the players are really starting to, gauge and understand the markets, and they're not just like throwing themselves into these long, crazy deals, like and with like no like we're not really giving themselves much. How do I put it? Like no leverage.
Like Harper.
And I feel like we're Harper kind of just said like I'm. All right. Well, he said it.
Yeah. He
said it. Well, he said it about 30,000 times during his press conference that he just wants to dig his roots. He wants to, this is where he wants to be. He wants to be here. He wants to, like, you know what I mean? So I get that. I definitely understand the situation, but like, I don't know. Like I remember when there's another deal we'll talk about. I guess we can just roll right into it. The Fernando Tatis deal.
Yeah.
Fernando Tatis, that was a monster deal. I'm still in the realm of, he probably should have gave himself 1 or 2 options in that deal.
Yeah, definitely. He has 0 options, right? None.
No, there's no options, and there's a no trade clause.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's committed there. Yeah. Like that's all on him. That's all him.
I mean, the San Diego has always been that like beautiful place to play. It's great, but the market's just not big out there for them. They got the Dodgers down. Like, I mean, they have obstacles, but I think Tatis growing his roots there, I mean, that helps them big time.
Absolutely. And I mean, they took a shot on him. Not, well, I guess you can't really say they took a shot on him, but like they took a shot when they traded James Shields for him.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's James Shields. Like, we laugh about it now. It's like, oh, it's James Shields. But like at the time, that was a big deal for the White Sox to add pitching. Yeah. That's what they thought they were doing.
And he was
terrible. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, he was called Big Game James, but never won a big game in his life. Never did anything big game. But like, yes, they traded for him. Then they got him. Of course, you're going to try to commit to that guy.
Yeah,
he's young. He's 22. He'll become a free agent when he's 36. And I think that's a big thing that I feel like a lot of players like. And I love that Harper was able to do that, and Harper was able to become a free agent.
Yeah,
I think that is huge. Being a free agent is a huge deal to these players, and they should be honored and be happy that they're able to do that. Because the average, I think, what they say, average Major League Baseball player plays 3 years. That's the average.
Yeah.
Like, so if you're making it past that 5-year mark, where you can become a prize free agent,
you got to go through all the arbitration, and then you develop problems with your organization and all, and then it alleviates all of that. So now Tatis is just set, like doesn't have to worry about anything. I don't think he makes more than like $25 million until 2028, I think it is.
Yeah, because it's an extension.
Yeah, if he keeps his MVP up, I mean, that's a bargain for the first 8 years.
Like, but like we just were saying, he wins a World Series, that pays off already. Yeah. He won a World Series. He's a big reason. He's a big reason for that.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Like again, I wanted the options. That was like the main thing. I think I was texting with you. I'm like, I haven't seen the options yet. I want to know what the options are. I need to know what the options are. And then there was none. And I was like, this is kind of fucking wild for me that there's no options in this. Like,
regardless, you growing your roots there. Like, how much? If you do want an option, how much money does that take off of your contract? You think like it makes that much of an impact? You think if he does the options, or like, listen, I'm not giving you 340, I'll give you 295.
If he asks for an option, or if he has one in like the middle somewhere, you got to think we're only going to see players progress as far as money's concerned. The annual average value of a contract is going to just go up.
Yeah.
Like he said right now he's at what, 20, where he said 25? Is that what the or 27?
28 years old. And then it jumps to 36.
Okay. So, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But in the middle there, say he has an option in like year like 6.
Yeah.
He can opt out. He, at that point, year 6 of it, he'd probably be what? Like 28, 29, 29. So he's 29. He can get the option, get out. And then he could even go back to the Padres. That doesn't bother me, him going with the Padres. He can go to the Padres and go, all right, well, I want $40 million a year. Yeah. I want $40 million a year for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And then that's it. But like, I feel like they're like, and I guess I'm a greedy motherfucker, but like, I'm somebody who would be like, I'm not trying to leave money on the table.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Like, yeah,
and why would you? You know, like the market's great now. That's a great deal now.
Yeah.
Where's it going to be for the player?
Exactly. 9 years from now, when average players making $30 million a year.
He'll be like the 8th highest paid player.
Yeah. He might be the 8th highest paid shortstop at that time. Like, it might go crazy.
Because look, and that's a great point. Because look at next year. Look at all the shortstops that are coming out next year.
It's ridiculous. Like studs across the board.
Nothing but studs. Trevor Story. You got Bogarts has an option with the Red Sox right now that he could easily decline and hit free agency.
Yeah, Lindor.
Lindor hasn't re-signed. Yeah, he hasn't re-signed yet. And I mean, we all know how this type of shit works. Yeah. He's probably not going to sign in the middle of the season.
No.
If he doesn't sign now or before spring training, he's probably hitting free agency. If I had to guess, that's where I would be, because that's usually how it works.
Unless they offer him the crazy deal that makes Tatis the second highest paid shortstop.
And that's another thing. Right now, Tatis the second highest paid would be this. If that is the case, he'd be the second highest paid shortstop. But I think he's right now like the 3rd highest paid player. Yeah, I believe is what I saw as far as like total.
Yeah, total of the deal. Money in contract. Yeah, I think it's Garrett Cole. Who was second? It wasn't hard. Mookie Betts, right?
I think whatchamacallit deal is bigger than Trout's. I think Trout's deal's bigger than Cole's.
Okay, it might have been Trout, Cole, then
which is still wild.
Yeah,
because I think he beat out Harper. Harper's deal was 330. It was 330. So like, which is it's a great deal. It is. It truly is a great deal. But like, if Harper doesn't win a World Series with the Phillies, what is that? That's all for naught.
Yeah, it's a waste of time, I guess. But
it's a waste for both parties.
Absolutely,
yeah. Because he had a deal on the table with the Dodgers. And they already won a World Series. So it's like
it doesn't look like they're going away anytime soon either.
Yeah. I mean, they've been to 3 of the last 4?
Yeah, I mean, last 6 years they've been there every year, like right in contention. They just would always mess up in the postseason.
Yeah, the Nationals, I think the Nationals were the only team that, like, in the last 4 years, the only team that's beaten them in the NLCS.
Yeah.
They played the Red Sox in 18. They played the Astros in 17. 19 was Washington, and then they won. So like, they've been there, they're there, but like, I don't know. So there's little comments on the side. So I'll throw this one over here. Aaron Truesdell, he's actually he writes for the Buzz. He does like our
Acuna thing is absolutely cool.
Of course it is. It's almost it almost is like a slap in the face, and they look at you and they're probably gonna be like, all right, well, like, he just got $100 million and the other dude's gotten 300. Like, he could have cashed out. Yep. But this is what happens, dude. This is how another thing that we're going to be end up talking about is the manipulation of the arbitration years, where they are like forcing these guys to, like, well, it's either sign now or like, so you know what, we could just roll right into that. We can roll right into Jarred Kelenic right now. So Jarred Kelenic is the top prospect for the Seattle Mariners. Yeah. And the situation there is a complete fucking mess.
It's an absolute joke. It's embarrassing.
It is. It's embarrassing. And it's embarrassing for the league. The Players Association is now probably looking at them like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, so Kevin Mather, I think he's the president. He was the president of the team. Yeah, I think so. He flat out just admitted that they are keeping players down for service time. He went on to call Marco Gonzalez, who is one of his pitchers, boring. He called Kyle Seager overpaid. Again, Kyle Seager is a guy that he has been around the organization for his whole career.
10 years in the majors probably at this point, maybe.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, he's been a pretty true person to the Seattle Mariners. Yeah. And for you to pretty much spit in his face and call him overpaid, like, there's a lot more.
Like,
it's not like he's like off the exactly. He's not like he's off the team.
At least 4 years ago.
And his wife flat out just said, like, should we sell the house? Like, what should we do here? Because you're telling us that how awful we are and how much you don't really like. You don't want us to be here.
Deserve what you're getting. Like, why would you want to stay in that organization like that?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Anybody, coach, anyone working in that organization, like, it starts from the top. You have to see the corruption that's going on. Like,
yeah, and it's kind of crazy. And then he just completely made crazy remarks about the Japanese translators. He absolutely slammed their top pitching prospect, Julio Rodriguez, or is he pitcher? I think he is pitcher. One of the top prospects, Julio Rodriguez. He's an outfitter. That's what he is. He's an outfitter. He slammed Julio Rodriguez for not being able to speak English. So he pretty much slammed the dude for not being able to speak the language that he speaks.
Yeah.
But you bring these people.
I was gonna say, like, baseball is such a, like, worldwide.
It's international.
Yeah, it's so international. Like, maybe not Europe stuff, but South America and all that. Like, the language barriers, you're going to have that in every level of like major leagues, minor leagues, everything. Like,
exactly.
How are you not? That just shows you how out of touch he is with that day-to-day stuff that goes on in, like, baseball.
Exactly. So it's like he's so far out of touch with it that he is like he just had like such like a old, like, get off my lawn, Like, you know what I mean? Like mindset about this shit. Like, and then for him to just flat out admit that, like, all right, well, we're going to leave Jared Kalenic down in the minors until like the end of April. Like, why? Like, you're telling us that that's why you're doing it. You're doing it.
I think they offered him a 6-year deal or so in October.
Yeah. And
you're going to play for us for nothing. You're going to get no money at all, pretty much. You're going to get a Acuna deal, not as much, but you're going to
be way less. Yeah.
Deal. You could start day one, or we're going to own you for another year for free.
Yeah, like look, and that's another thing. Like Jared Kalenic seems like he's a smart guy. He knows that. Why would I sign that deal? Because he'll look over with the White Sox right now and look how they manipulated Luis Robert and like he and Eloy Jimenez. They both have deals that are very similar to the 6-year, $43 million.
Yeah.
Then the other one side. Yeah, and exactly.
He hasn't out, but he got 6 for 25. I mean, he's making $4.5 million a year. Like,
they also did it to Odubel Herrera too.
Yeah.
Where he got like a length of years deal, but didn't get anything as far as like the money was concerned.
Yeah.
Which right now that dude doesn't deserve 2 sticks.
No, I can't
to be honest.
I can't believe he's like a non-roster invitee. The dude shouldn't be anywhere near the organization. Like if a different team wants to give him whatever, but the fact that he did that as a player on your team and you're gonna maybe give him a chance to come back, like that's a bad look on the Phillies' part too.
Well, this is the thing. The Phillies could easily have let him go. Like in any other sport, they would have.
It's on.
But this is the thing. Baseball's union is stronger than any of the 4 major sports.
Yeah.
They have probably the best union of all the 4 major sports. Like, so they're going to protect them.
Yeah.
Whether until they're
not. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're not going to jump the gun if something didn't happen and then they just ruin this dude's life or because, you know, of course, these guys are athletes or professional baseball players. There's going to be women that are going to say, he's my baby's dad when he never even touched them. You know what I mean? So like they're going to find ways to slander. So they want to make sure all their ducks are aligned before. Yeah. And then the fact that Odubel's girlfriend at the time, I'm not sure if how far they've gotten in their relationship at this point.
She dropped the charges.
Exactly. So that kind of also worked in his favor. So she dropped the charges. So it's like you can't really like at that point, what can you do? You're not going to sit there and, you know, hate the Phillies. You can't really say much about the Phillies at this point because the players union pretty much probably told them you can't cut him.
Yep. Or go
because of course, because then you have Aroldis Chapman who is in the same situation with the Yankees. Yep. You have Domingo Germán who is a fucking mess. And that whole situation there, again, it's affecting their spring training because it's becoming a glaring issue. Zach Britton recently spoke out and said you can't pick your teammates. But that's how it is. You know what I mean? It's a shame, but like I don't feel bad for these motherfuckers. You're hitting women. I don't give a shit.
Don't put yourself like even in that position. I feel like if you're such a genuine enough guy that like an accusation comes out of nowhere like that, everyone will have your back if they know what kind of person you are. If there's like any type of doubt or whatever, people might be like, well, maybe it did happen. Like,
Domingo Germán's biggest issue was he did it in front of the entire Yankees, pretty much a lot of Yankees. He did it at a CC Sabathia fundraiser. Yeah. So there was current Yankees there.
Witnesses,
who turned around and watched this dude smack her in the front of the taco aisle. You know what I mean? Like that's serious. That's how it worked. Like he just smacked the shit out of her. Like, what are you doing? Like, what
athlete man?
Yeah, like exactly. Like I don't know. Like, but like also, I don't know how. Like I just don't know. You don't know. Like you don't know anything. We don't know how that works because like they're still on the teams, which I definitely don't agree with. But like I get why. I understand why they're on the team still because, like I said, the union helps them. And they're going to do that. But what are you going to do? You're not going to be able to really fight that. But, all right. So there was more deals that were made since the last time that I was able to actually speak on just one team. And so you're a Phillies fan. Didi Gregorius re-signed back with the Phils.
$4 million a year, 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice deal. It was.
Yeah,
it's very similar to the one that he signed last year, except for they add a year.
Give him an extra year. I mean, yeah,
it is. Yeah, I mean, he had a good. It was a 60-game season.
It's so hard to judge.
And that's the thing. You have these guys going to free agency judging off of 60-game seasons, 1-year deals.
Another thing I thought was a genius move by Bauer. Like for his whole career, but I think he had a great 2018. I think he was an all-star in 2018.
Yeah.
But the rest of his career, and like 4 or above ERA, like his numbers aren't that great. And then he has this great 60-game season, has a 1.8 ERA or whatever it was, cashed in. I think, he benefited more than anybody from 60 games.
And with the big thing with Bauer is when it comes to a guy like that, Bauer's very analytical.
Yeah.
So when you look at his, look at his spin rates, you look at his K per 9, you look at stuff like that. His K per 9 has been pretty elite his entire career. For a good amount of his career, it's been pretty elite. So I think that I hate putting myself in the situation where I say like they deserve this. Because it's a lot of money. There's not many people who deserve, you know what I mean? Like, so like, I'm not going to say deserve, but for what he does, that's the going rate. By all means, I think good for him. He should have gotten it for what he does.
Yeah, I mean, he's just as much of a student of the game as anybody is.
Absolutely.
I think you could tell just by his social media presence. He has all the analytical stats and everything. Like he knows exactly what he's doing. So. Yeah,
absolutely. And one thing that I've been a big fan of his was like he was completely transparent when it came to his whole free agency process.
Yeah, he was.
He did a whole YouTube video where he explained what he wanted out of it. And the one thing that he mentioned was he wants to have a conversation with the team about him pitching every 4th day or 3rd day because he feels as if he does better when he has less rest. He feels like he pitches better. I found that to be like completely fascinating that he's that in tune of what's going on, that's where he's at. Like, all right, well, I feel as if that's where I want, I feel if I'm better on 3 days rest, then that's where I should be. And I love that. I love that he is that much of a student that he brings that to the table.
Body and he obviously puts in the work. He does his homework. He knows what he's talking about. So I mean,
100%.
He's not going to get that chance, but
no,
it would be cool. I mean, he might get in the playoffs a couple of times, but
and you know what? And maybe the Dodgers will be like, all right, well, we don't like. Here's another thing. If they have a guy that they want to bring up for service time. And they want to give a guy like a day off who they feel they want to give one of those guys a day off where they don't want to go over like the innings limit or something like that. They'll be like, all right, Trevor, why don't you pitch today on your 3 days rest like you want to?
The extra day.
Yeah, because I can see I can see that happening. You know what I mean? Like I can see something like that happen. And a big thing is the Dodgers are kind of in like that weird state with that number 5 guy where
options.
They're not sure if it's going to be Urias, Dustin May, Gonsolin. You know what I mean? They have options. They really do.
Gonsolin went from almost winning Rookie of the Year to he's like number 7 on their rotation now. Like, what the hell do you do with him?
And that's the thing. They look at him that way.
Yeah.
Which I think is crazy that they just look at him that way. Because like he was probably their best pitcher at one point during the season. He looked better than Bueller at some points. You know what I mean? So it's like
he was consistent as hell in the beginning. Like the beginning of the year, he was games, giving you innings, no runs. Like he was pitching well.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's like I've really I like the deal for Didi. I did. We're gonna go back to that. I like the deal for Didi. I thought it was a good deal for him. I thought that they, I'm not a big fan of giving. I was never a big fan of giving him like a long-term deal. To be honest, last year I thought anything more than 2 years I was going to be out on. Now it's looking like, it pretty much became a 3-year deal with them because I'm a big fan of Bryson Stott.
Me too. I am too. I mean, he has all the tools. I mean, that's like was like bittersweet. Like, yeah, we got Didi back immediately, helps our lineup definitely. Like, he's going to be what the sixth hitter probably, brings that left-handed pop besides Harper, and but at the same time, it would have been cool if Stott came up halfway through this year, maybe maybe September or whatever, get a little cup of coffee. But I mean, that doesn't hurt having a little more minor league at bat. So,
but you know what? It does. It's still not out of the realm of possibility that he could still come up, because Didi Gregorius has never been, the bill of clean health, has never had a bill of clean health. Yeah. He's not Mr. like healthy. So there's never a time where he's been injured a lot in his career. So
we got that huge deal. He's always been relatively productive. Like, he's always had good numbers and stuff. But yeah, like you said, you'll be lucky to get 140 games.
Yeah. So he finds himself on the disabled list a lot. Mm-hmm. So, or the injury list, but like Bryson Stott could easily move into that spot, and this could be the time. Like, I never wish injury or wish for that to happen, but like, if it does, I wouldn't be mad to see Bryson Stott get his shot up here.
Yeah,
he's got a good
Harper's boy too. So
just about to say, he's got a great relationship with Harper. Like, that could be, but that's what the Phillies don't realize, and I feel like that is a big problem, that they don't realize that guys like that. That's what you need. You need to grow that.
You need that camaraderie, that like
and I'm not saying Didi doesn't have that. Didi could be a great. I don't know how. I'm not in a clubhouse.
I'm on Twitter. He's like animated and everything. So I mean, he seems like a clubhouse guy. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, Bryson Stott and Harper, like, they're literally grew up minutes apart from each other, best friends.
Yeah,
the age gap, but
like they play. I know they play like video games and shit together. Like, which is cool. Like, exactly, that could go a long way.
Especially with this team. Up and coming rookie, like, you're already comfortable with the franchise player. Like, he's going to give you every like piece of advice you can get. He's never going to be like down on you. He's always going to uplift you. Like, it's a perfect position for when Bryson does come up. Exactly,
and it's like, I don't want to see them get to the point where they are wasting his young good years, like they did with Ryan Howard.
Yeah, Howard, Utley.
Like,
came up young, but Howard and Utley both came up a couple of years after they should have.
Yeah, like, exactly. Like, so you don't want to see that happen to them. So, like, and that's why I've been a big, like, I remember last year I was a huge don't sign Didi guy. I was big on the train of don't sign Didi Gregorius. I didn't want to see them sign him because I know the future that they have down in the minors.
Yep.
Why commit? Like, and this is a thing that I talked about with Kevin Cooney. Mm-hmm. He said the Phillies just continue to put Band-Aids on bullet wounds.
Yeah, all the time.
And that's all they do. And that's why they're not consistently good.
Yep.
That's why they are.
Like,
it's the truth.
After the run they did in the 08, 09, 10, 11, they never really went for that full rebuild. They were always just like, all right, let's try to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah. So you're
pitching staff, like, mediocre players. Like, they do it every year. I mean, now, luckily, we got some pieces now. Like, Harper obviously changes the whole aspect of the organization.
Boom's about stud. I'm a big fan of his, and I was a big fan of him last year. I'm happy that he's up. I wanted him up late. I wanted him up from the start of the season. I'm glad that he was able to play a good amount. What'd you say?
Is that a manipulation thing? They didn't want to waste it?
100%. 100% it was.
Best hitter in the organization, like, average-wise, like, 3-hole hitter, probably the most natural 3-hole hitter on the team.
No doubt.
He's going to bat 300 every year at least. Like, what do you bat? Like, 342, 330, something.
Small sample size.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But
he had it, but he had a good. I mean, his WRC. I know his WRCS plus was pretty high. Like, for the short period of time, like, he played a lot. Like, but the biggest problem with them, and I don't want to keep going on with the Phillies. I want to move on, but like, a big problem with them is that they have so many guys that are the exact same.
Yeah.
Move the fuck. Like, to be honest, I would, like, and I've said this before, and I said it to Cooney, I would have traded Hoskins last year. That would have been my number one move. Trade him last year. I would have dealt.
Boom the third first.
You move him the first, exactly. I wanted Clevenger. I wanted them to get Clevenger. I know he's hurt this year, so hindsight's 2020, and he's hurt, so it would have looked like a bad deal. But I'm telling you, when he comes back, it would have been a fantastic deal for them.
Yeah, dude's a freak too.
Yep. And then because he still again had those arbitration years, so he was protected. I know that Hoskins does too. So it kind of would have been a great deal for the Indians getting a controlled first baseman and the Phillies getting a controlled pitcher. It would have been perfect.
It gives you the opportunity to slide Bowman to first. Then it gives you the opportunity, gives you more flexibility to bring Stott up because you can have Segura slide to third if you want.
You could have
or put not Bowman second. Put Stott at second, or put Stott at third. He's a big kid. He's like Tulowitzki size. Like he's a big shortstop.
Or what you could have did is have Gregorius play second.
Yeah.
Have Segura play third and have him go to short.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much flexibility now. Their handcuffing itself so big with Hoskins Bone. Without the DH, like
it does exactly. Because I truly don't look at Hoskins and think that he's had 2 good months in 4 years.
His first month and then the month last year before he got hurt. He was good.
Exactly. And don't be wrong. The numbers, if you look at him, you're like, all right, well, he accumulated a good amount. Yeah. But that's through a full year where he'll have like 2 or 3 games good. Then he's shitty again. Then he I don't know.
3 weeks and make his whole season look okay.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it was. It was 3 weeks that made everyone want to keep him again.
Yep.
No, remember the guy that he was before because it hasn't changed. I promise you.
That second half of 2019 when he had to be the worst player in baseball.
He looked like you see Major League how Serrano was at the plate just flailing at curveballs because he didn't know what he was hitting. That's what he looked like. He looked lost.
Even when he hits the ball, when he's in those slumps, I feel like he loses his lower half. He's like all upper body. Even when he hits the ball, it doesn't go anywhere. Like he'll hit a fly ball, like, oh, that's out. No, it's
he gets on
the warning track.
He's all about launch angle, so he gets on top of pitches and he just rolls over on them. It's miserable. It's not exactly what you want in a guy who you expect to hit high in your lineup either. He's not an on base. He's not an on base guy. He doesn't get on base that much. He barely is a slugging percentage guy. Why do they have this let's please keep him? Stop trying with the project. Trade him.
Career. That's why.
And there was never a better time than last year to get rid of him because he looked like he was improving. You could have easily flipped him for Clevenger. That would have been a golden move.
Then you're talking about Phillies being a contender this year if you have Clevenger with Nola and Wheeler.
Well, Clevenger's out this year. So you be talking about 2022 being a serious year.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Which is, I don't know. I that's where I'm at. But again,
hopefully
I'm here.
MVP this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you better hope because
good first 2 months and then he send his ass somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. That's the move. But so Marcell Ozuna went back with the Braves. I mean,
he can hit.
He can hit, but he's another one. He looks lost in the outfield.
Yeah, defensively, he's a crazy liability in left field.
And when you saw I remember I know it's Bob Nightingale who was a fucking travesty. This whole last 3 months, people have just been laughing their asses off at him. But he was saying and partially he's right. Marcell Ozuna, really, where were his suitors at if there was no DH?
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't believe he's not in the AL somewhere. How the hell did they sign him as a DH?
I think he really truthfully loved being in Atlanta, and they're gonna bite the bullet this year because next year when the CBA's up, they're gonna fight like hell to get that DH up, and then that's where he's at because that's where he should be. He's a DH. But he's a beast though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he crosses baseballs.
He had
beautiful his follow through, everything's just it's nice to watch him hit. Kind of made that he would have went to the AL.
Absolutely, because it only makes the Braves stronger at this point.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and it is, and
so disrespected on the projections for the National League East. They're fourth.
We'll get into that. That's going to be a part of this. We're going to talk about the projections, which is crazy because it really is. It's sickening that how much they just look at paper champions. Like I think the Mets are going to be good. I do. I'm not. Yeah. I know most of Philadelphia is praying that they just fall off the face of the earth. I don't. I think that, or like they're going to just be all hype. They're not adding just hype players. They're adding good guys. Carrasco's a good player. They got Lindor. Lindor's a fucking great player, and he truly reminds me. And I've said this on a podcast before. He reminds me a lot of Reyes.
Yeah, it's a little more pop, maybe. I mean, Reyes did have pop.
Yeah,
Lindor, he's a great ball player. I mean, that trade, I didn't like that trade as a Phillies fan either. Like
no, why would you?
I hope he doesn't sign. I mean, if he just plays 1 year and bounces, that'll be all right. But
yeah, I mean, but it could be I'll tell you what, this year could be a long year if he plays well.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. If Carrasco can pitch like he normally does, like thank God he's back in the MLB.
Yeah, like I love Cookie Carrasco. I'm happy that he's back from the whole cancer scare and everything that happened there. Like it's good to have guys like that back in the bigs because he's just a true professional. Anything you ever heard of him has been great. Like, and I do. And I mean, I was gonna say he's a former Philadelphia Philly, I believe, too.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do, man? It's like he's in a good situation there. Because he can easily slide into like that 3. He's going to slide in that 3 spot.
4, like for anything better than that.
Because I forgot they got Taillon Walker too.
Yeah, I mean he has the upside too.
Yeah,
power sinker. Like he has some stuff on him.
Absolutely. So you got like that's the East is just the Mets just add it starting pitch. They did exactly what the Phillies should have done, and just add pitching.
Yeah,
and they didn't.
Trying to nail like a Matt Moore, Chase Anderson. Now in talks with Odorizzi, like
you're adding fringe players. You're not adding. You're adding fringe. You're adding fringe starters. You're not like. And I saw who was it? Jack Fritz.
Yeah,
fucking moron. That dude, like all he ever does is just talk about he just thinks he knows. Like he thinks he is the Greek, the god of baseball. He tried saying that adding Odorizzi turns them from a fringe playoff team to a lock.
No, I mean, it would be nice. I would take him. But, I mean, he's never been that great of a pitcher at all in any years.
Imagine being so far disconnected from outside of Philadelphia baseball that you believe that Jake Odorizzi is the key to winning the National League East.
Lock, like he has to have some Jake Odorizzi stock invested in or something.
100%, because there's no way you sit there and say Jake Odorizzi puts us over a hump. He doesn't. He does not.
It helps
of course.
I mean, if him at 3 or 4, like that helps. But he's not 1A, he's not like 1C like your boy Eflin. But
that fucking dude, man. It's like I like Eflin, but like I don't know. I just feel as if they're getting a little ahead of themselves with the way they look at him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But while we have some time, I'm actually going to pause and 1 second. I'm going to pause and do a little thing for the shows that are on the Buzz, things that we have here, the different things of the shows that we feature, stuff like that. Let's go.
War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them I'm ready, any opponent. The crown heavy and every minute is chosen. A path only fit for kings, and you don't know what this court means. What did you enlist for? If it isn't getting more rings, then you gon' have to switch your team. Trust me, it gets more mean. I'm a nightmare going up against your dreams. First step is explosive like a bomb hit. Bet if I let it fly, I cannot miss. And you ain't got a chance at the top 10 when you getting clamped all night by a locksmith. On the block throwing lobs to my top bigs. I'm a chef, no look, what's the top dish? Tie game, through the pressure as the clock ticks. Crossover, step back, hit a shot quick.
So yeah, go on, watch whatever podcast. We have a ton of stuff going on here, man. Tons of stuff. And also, let me tell you about the fastest growing construction company in the tri-state area, Garrett Group Construction. GGC is available to service all of your construction needs, from gut rehabs and demolitions to renovations of bathrooms and kitchens. Choose Garrett Group Construction, the official sponsor of the Frozen Road podcast. Call today for a free estimate, 267-262-1660. Once again, that's 267-262-1660. There's no job too big or too small. All right, so I also wanted to talk about where do we see teams going this year? Where do we see each division? How do we see each division? Where do we see just the whole landscape of it? So it's spring training. Spring training is officially here. Thank God, exactly. We're past that point where we're waiting for things to happen. We got even games coming up on Sunday. It's going to be awesome to actually see some live baseball. And, we're talking about having fans in the stadiums again. And, Philly's apparently getting close. They have the Flyers apparently getting.
I think the Flyers are having fans on March 7th, I believe they play. Whenever they play the Capitals, I think it's their next home game. So,
which is awesome.
Yeah, thank God.
Even if it's limited, it's still great to have to have fans in the stadiums again.
Start opening it back up, gradually open it.
Yeah, and that's fine as long as that's a plan is to open things up. And we like us living here, we saw how the Phillies fans were outside of the gate last year. Like they want to be in there. People want to be at Citizens Bank Park. People want to be at the stadiums. Like I know that coming from, I'm a Red Sox fan. I know I'm wearing a Phillies hat today, but I'm a Red Sox fan, and I saw tons of shit like with Fenway Park. There was like people have been dying to get in there. My bachelor party was supposed to be there last year and got canceled. So I want to get back there. I want to be, you know what I mean? I want to be there. I want to be, we all want to be back at the stadiums. And I'm just super excited. And I think that we're finally getting to the point where we're going to be there. The part that sucks is that I do think if it's limited, it's going to be a lot. They're going to just off the cuff. It's probably going to be a lot of season ticket holders that are going to be which is what it is. Yeah,
insane prices, but
they're going to sell them off, and it's going to be fucking wild. But like either way, it's going to just be nice it's going to be nice to see more than cardboard cutouts in the stands. You know what I mean? So
at least I think
and it's going to make for a good year. And it's there's a lot of we just talked about. We just talked about a whole list of great things that just that have been going on within baseball, signings, trades, stuff like that. Minus the Jared Kalenic situation, there's been so much good that has been going on, and there's a lot of young talent that we want to see and that I think need to be exposed, and we need to see them in person. And right there, I mean, we can start with the NL East, where we see the NL East, where like personally, where I'm at, I don't think anyone's close to the Braves.
I agree. I don't understand why they're so disrespected in all the media like projections and stuff. Like their offense is top of baseball. Like it has to be one of the top 3 offenses in the league. And then their young pitchers, I mean, they're all came into the league and started pitching well. Like Fried's a stud. Ian Anderson pitched great. Like they have a ton of pieces.
Getting Soroka back at some point this year will be great for them.
He was awesome too.
So that's another one. I mean, the Mets improved dramatically.
Loaded up. Yep.
Overnight, it seems like they just became a completely different team.
Yeah.
Which is what they needed. I mean, they were kind of a fringe team last year where we were really like, this team could be something. I mean, they have young talent, Pete Alonso. They have, Michael Conforto. They have Nimmo. They have a good young core.
Yeah, they do.
That they brought up themselves. Plus, they added Lindor. You have Syndergaard, if he can stay healthy, which has been a big issue with him because I feel like he doesn't even know how. I don't think he really knows how to pitch, to be honest. I think he just throws the baseball real hard.
Throws 100-mile-per-hour sinkers.
Yeah, which you really don't really need to know how to be a great pitcher. If that's you know what I mean?
Somewhere in the zone, it'll be all right.
But I feel like somewhere down the line, he's going to need to learn how to not get hurt because I feel like that's a big problem. Him not really knowing how to actually pitch has become a huge issue for him.
Mm-hmm.
Then DeGrom is just
the best pitcher in baseball. Yeah, I mean,
I completely agree with that. I think he's the best pitcher in baseball too. Then you have Cookie Carrasco, who we talked about, finally getting back in the mix. They have Taillon Walker. That team is loaded up and they're ready to compete. And that's another team that I feel like that filled up and now you have the Phillies, who are in that 3-4 range because the Nationals aren't bad either.
They're a really good team too. I mean, Soto's only going to get better. Trey Turner's turned into what he should have been. Like he's a legit player now. One of the top shortstops in baseball. Like 100%. They got a really good team over there too. I mean, their pitching's not going to go away. Like they got
it's not
great rotation. Like, yeah, it's going to be NL East is going to be a really good division this year.
And don't forget, those Marlins snuck their way into the playoffs last year.
And they own the Phillies, so they get on the nerves.
So there's another team. So like, and I feel like this is one of those things where it's like when the Phillies decided to get better, so did everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, all right, so now we're at this point where it's like we're trying to grow, but this might be where we're at.
Yeah.
And it sucks. And it does suck because, like you, I have a lot of friends who are big Phillies fans. Like, my mother-in-law is a huge Phillies fan. That's all she talks about is the Phillies. She loves them. And it sucks to watch them suck.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like they're not far, but they just don't know what else to do, which is crazy. But I think Dombrowski's a huge help.
Yeah,
I think he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, at least he's a baseball guy. I mean, he knows how the organizations work. Like he knows the right pieces to put in place. Give him a couple years, hopefully, he does great things.
I mean, his big thing is he trades off prospects. We all know that. We know how he is. He's a prospect trader. He will get rid of prospects. Mm-hmm. That's just something you have to live with. Which I hope the guy we talked about earlier. I hope they don't get rid of Bryson Stott.
Yeah,
don't get rid of him. I still think Spencer Howard he's young. I'm not going to give up on him. He had a rough year. He didn't look great, but again,
he gets banged up too.
He got banged up. Yeah, he's had injury issues.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't know. They're in a weird spot where I feel like they could either be great or they could be absolute dumpster fire.
Yeah, I mean they're like a couple of their pieces. The ones that fluctuate, like Hoskins, if he can click a little bit, if he can be decent, not be so erratic with his offense, their offense is legit. I mean, Eflin, if he can be, he's not Wheeler or Nola, but if he could be a low to mid 3 ERA guy, like they'll be all right. I mean, but then you have to hope all the bullpen pieces hit. Like Archie Bradley, big help, obviously.
Absolutely.
Arenado, he has nasty stuff coming left-handed, 100 miles an hour. Like he'll help if he doesn't keep breaking Realmuto's hand. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. I mean, figuring out what works on a team is like a big deal. So it's like you really hope that like they find that balance, and I'm hoping a guy like Harper, who has that leadership ability. I know people who don't live in the city, who've never had him on their team, or a team that like is close to like where they live. They don't realize that he's not the punk kid that he was when he was 22.
Yeah. He's not illustrated at 16. You don't think he's going to be arrogant? Like
exactly. Like people still bring up the Papelbon situation when he choked him out. He was 22 years old. He was arrogant. He was 22 years old. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So like you have two assholes, going off at each other. So like, what are you going to think is going to happen?
That's terrible.
But like, exactly. So it's like he's not that guy anymore. He's a leader. He wants to be here. He wants to do big things. That could be a huge thing for the city. I still don't see them as a playoff team this year. If I'm going to be honest, I don't see them there. I see them around 3-4. I see them win about 83 games. I see them at like 83 and 79. I think that's a fair assessment. I think if they add a piece or two, they could advance that and maybe make that second wild card. I don't think anyone's beating the Dodgers or the Padres.
Yeah, I mean,
one of them is going to be the other. Yeah, one of them is going to be the other wild card.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's even close between them two and then whoever sneaks their way in the playoffs. But good luck.
Because then now we'll switch to the NL Central. The NL Central has teams that I still think are better that are better than the Phillies.
Yeah.
So even if the Cardinals are better than them, the Brewers are better than them. I mean, the Reds are good, but they lost Bauer. They lost. We'll see how it goes. But they made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
So they're another team. I feel like every division in the National League's a tough division. I mean, a tough league.
Yeah.
And it's definitely switched. It's no longer where the AL is this strong powerhouse anymore.
Yeah.
The NL has definitely become like a strong league now, where I'm almost pretty hard pressed to say that they're the best league.
Especially when you give the DH to the NL full time.
100%,
like they have the incentive to go spend $20 million on a Marcell Ozuna. Like he's not DH, but that type of hitter. Like the power shift is definitely leaning towards the NL now.
100%. And I think, you already have they already have the best pitcher in the NL. They have one. They have three of the best young players in baseball in the National League in Soto, Acuna, and Tatis. Like the NL is strong, and that's where I think people have like this, like kind of like false sense of reality where they don't realize that it's not just the NL East, and there's more to there's a whole other league that goes into this. Like the West is strong, super strong, and let's not count out the Giants either, who I'm sure are going to be a part of that second wild card race too. Because let's not forget, Gabe Kapler had the same record as the Phillies last year.
Yep, and
so
Mike Yastrzemski's a MVP candidate all of a sudden. 29 years old.
He's becoming his grandpa. Yeah, absolutely. So it's like you have guys like that. I mean, they're getting Buster Posey back, which is a good piece to them. He's getting older, obviously, but he's still a big part of that organization.
Yeah, he's great for pitching rotations. I mean, great
100%.
clubhouse guy. He's been there plenty of times. He knows the second coach on the team. So
they got Joey. They have Joey Bart, who's coming up to the system, who I love.
Yeah,
he's going to be a stud. Like they're another team that people need to really keep an eye on because they could easily squeeze their way into that second wild card.
Yeah.
So I mean, the NL is strong, and I think that the Phillies are still there, but they're just not there yet.
Yeah.
I think they're about 2 years out. Personally, maybe a year, an off season could help, but that's how it is.
Yep.
So now we got the AL. The AL East, I think, is one of those divisions that's like, I don't really know what to make of it because the Yankees are good. They're very good.
Yeah, they got crushed with injuries last year, but they have all the pieces to compete.
A big problem that I have with the Yankees or the people who just automatically assume, like, look at the projections that we saw the projections you were talking about.
Yeah.
The projections have them as like the runaway, no chance anyone beats them in the AL East.
Yeah.
That's not true. They literally lost the AL East last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
the Rays get disrespected so many times.
100%.
Every season. And they're
then you got a young Blue Jays team who is just poised to be a great team.
They're going to be fun to watch, if anything.
100%.
But they're going to compete a little bit. They should.
They're going to make noise.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about my Boston Red Sox. They will be there. They also got crushed with things last year.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
They lost their manager, who they now have back again. They lost Mookie Betts. Chris Sale went out last year with Tommy John. They lost Eduardo Rodriguez because of COVID and the heart situation.
JD Martinez, he was not himself.
He had an off year.
Yeah.
The whole thing was just off.
Mm-hmm.
They're back this year. They're in a better situation than they were last year. Chris Sale's saying that he's ready.
Which is
Erod's ready. He's back in camp already. He's ready to play. Like, this team is ready.
Yeah,
they're young. I mean, they're not like this. They're not what they were in 18.
Yeah.
They lost Bennett. That's another thing that I forgot to mention. They traded Benintendi, which was, a huge deal. But like, Benny hasn't been really good the last 2 years.
Yeah. He came up. You thought he was going to be an amazing player, MVP candidate, like at least like batting title candidate, and then he just never really put it together.
He had a really, really good 18.
Yeah.
Where that playoff when he had that great play in the outfield, which ended the Astros season and took them to the World Series, and that was great. And I feel like that's a big problem, is that people are just saying like, oh, well, they lost Mookie Betts, they're out. Like, don't judge last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
don't judge it. Don't judge a 60-game season,
especially for teams riddled with injuries, like the Red Sox.
Yeah, like exactly, like the Sox, like the Yankees, even and the thing that gets me is that the Yankees lost like 4 starting pitchers this offseason, but nobody realized it.
Yeah,
or they're acting as if it didn't happen. Like they still have them in the same spot. Like they're still believing that they're this runaway team. Like, you added Taillon. You added
Kluber.
Jamison, Taillon, and Kluber.
Yeah, Taillon and Kluber. Yeah.
You added both of them, which is a great move, and it is. But Kluber's injury prone.
Yeah.
Taillon's had 2 Tommy John surgeries now.
I mean, if his pitches don't get back to how they were 3 years ago, well, he was a stud for 8 years probably. If his pitches are a little bit flat in Yankee Stadium, he's not going to do too well. He doesn't throw 98.
No, they don't. And that's where I'm at with this. Is you literally added 2 guys who could easily be on the DL fast.
Yeah.
And then you added, you're bringing back. I don't know what Domingo Germán's doing. I don't know what they're doing with that. We already talked about that.
Davy Garcia. Davy
Garcia is good. They think they're trying to compare him to Pedro. They're trying to compare him with Pedro, which is fucking ridiculous.
I think Sixto Sanchez to Pedro is a little more realistic.
That heater.
His stuff's ridiculous. But Davy Garcia. No, he's not Pedro.
No, and then you have who's Severino. Severino's not going to be back till July.
Yeah, he's out for a while.
So until
Jordan Montgomery might be their fifth.
Exactly. Jordan Montgomery is one of your guys right now.
Yeah,
he's good.
2 weeks in the year, he might be their second starter though. If Taillon and Kluber, go back to where they're used to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So right now, I don't see how you can just slam dunk them as the best team in the American League East. I still think the Rays are better than them.
Yeah, the Rays organization ran so well.
I love it.
Every
I love
season,
it. I wanted the Phillies. Phillies to get Neander.
Yeah,
I thought he would have been a great move for them, but they got Dombrowski instead, which is fine because
I'll take it.
Which is nice. But anyway, he I just don't see. To be honest, I still think that the Rays are the best team in the East. I think they win the East. I think the Yankees are second, then the Blue Jays, then the Red Sox.
I don't think the Orioles are going to compete.
I was almost at the point where I just didn't even name the Orioles. I almost just made it as if they weren't a team. They're there. I think a couple years from now they're going to be good though.
Yeah,
they have some Adlai Rutschman is.
Yeah, he's going to come up and be.
He's a stud
in baseball.
Yeah, he's a stud, man. They're going to be good,
too, right? I think.
What happened? Who?
Does Rush Lee switch hit? He's a switch hitter, right?
I believe so.
I think he is.
Yeah, and then so then you have the AL Central. I feel like the AL Central is just kind of like it's like a boring division.
Yeah.
If that like they're
I like the White Sox. I mean, they got Roberts a stud, Jimenez stud, like that. They've really good players, but I feel
Giolito.
Yeah. I feel like they're just running the same season back that they did last year. There wasn't many changes in the AL Central that I can recall really.
I mean, the most glaring one that I feel like is going under the radar is AJ Hinch is now the manager of the Tigers.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to try to run the Tigers. Not the whole banging of the trash can situation, but I think he's going to try to run the Tigers the way that he ran the Astros, where they have homegrown talent, and he's going to try to, advance on that. I like Nico Goodrum. I like Jacoby Jones. I like some of the guys they have there. Matt Boyd. I think he had just a rough year last year. I think he's going to be a solid starting pitcher in this league.
As long as he throws strikes.
Yeah, and exactly.
He walks a ton of people, but his stuff's awesome. He gets a million strikeouts. If he could just locate, he'll be good.
Yeah, so there's guys like that are still around, where I think that they can make a weird run. You know what I mean? I don't think they're going to win anything, but I think that they're going to be a huge step forward.
They're sitting there wondering if they're buyers or sellers. That's a team. Yeah,
exactly, and that's where I see them. I see them as still an okay team. So then you have the AL West, which is pretty much just the Astros.
Yeah.
Well, it's the Astros and Mike Trout.
Yeah, Mike Trout.
But that's another team. If they, again, we talk about this. If they add pitching, the Astros could be. I mean, the Angels could be a serious team.
Yeah.
But that's all they have to do, and I feel like they just
every season. That's all
they look at their roster and they think that Andrew Haney is just okay. They're
Garrett Richards. They always thought he was the ace. Every year they get their best pitcher that's coming up, and they're like, yeah, he's going to be the ace.
He's with the Red Sox now.
Yeah, I know. But
no, it's just funny.
Yeah, I always like Garrett Richards too. I mean, he has great stuff. He got hurt a bunch of times too. I mean,
that's where we're at right now. I mean, and I feel like the Astros are going to be a really, really good team, and I think I look at a guy like Oakland. There you go. There's another one. I didn't even say. You're right. The dude just said. Yeah. I feel like Oakland is always under the radar team.
They're the AL West Rays.
So, and the big reason why he could easily say that, because I just completely didn't even talk about them.
Yeah.
Didn't even say their name. And they're always there. Always. You have Matt Olson, who's a good young player. Chapman. But that's the thing. Where is Matt Chapman going to be? Is he going to get traded? Because that was a big topic of conversation.
Yeah. That was whenever they get a great player.
They got rid of Chris Davis, finally. They got rid of that travesty.
The old 247 career back.
The 247, right? That's all it is. It's pretty amazing, but that I don't know. I feel like that's where we're at. You know what I mean? With all this. I feel like a lot of last year is just carrying over to this year. I feel like everyone's kind of in the same limbo. We're not really sure. We're still waiting to see. I mean, we all know that the Dodgers are probably the best. They're not probably. They're the best team in baseball right now. The
Padres are probably number 2.
Yeah, and they're up there. Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think the top 3 are all National League teams. I think it's the Dodgers, Padres, and Braves right now.
The Braves are projected 4th in the division. That's so crazy.
Yeah, I don't get why. I don't understand. I need to see where they see that at, because they even added a veteran like Charlie Morton to the rotation, a veteran guy who is comfortable in the playoffs. How is that not?
They're young pitchers. That's a second pitching coach on your staff right there. I mean, that helps.
Yeah. Absolutely it does, Dan. Absolutely it does. But that's pretty much where we're at, with baseball right now. And I feel like we caught everyone up. We got everyone where they needed to be, and I'll be back on here in 2 weeks, I guess. But we're almost at the point where it's gonna be every week. We're gonna be doing an every week podcast, and
baseball's back.
Baseball's back, baby. That's right. So Dan, thank you for coming on. Thanks for
Appreciate it.
Had a blast, buddy. Glad talking. Good to just talk regular baseball and not have to focus on just one team. Even though I feel like we focused a lot on the Phillies today, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's pretty much our show. That's all I got today. So again, thanks for coming on, Dan. And
thank you.
Yep, I'll see you around.
Yes, sir.
Yep.